Welcome to Worthy Ones, the video series where I take all the newest issue ones that I read for the current comic book week and deem them worthy or not worthy. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, guys, you came to the right place. Hit that subscribe button. Also, tune in tomorrow for First Issue Fridays as I will be covering all the newest issue 1 comics that are coming out for the next comic book week. So with that being said, guys, let's get started with this week's episode. Creepshow Issue 1. This one is done by Image Comics, Skybound. 32 pages, $4. We have two writers on this one, which is Jeremy Adams, which led me to pick up this book to begin with. And the art is done by Eduardo Aricio. And the other one is Rosie Knight and Oliver Ono. Now, the first story was the one that Jeremy Adams actually wrote, and it was a really well-drawn story. They had this like sexy woman in here that's kind of like this manhunter, right, trying to go after the old man that's about to pass away and inherit all his money. And let's just say things take a turn for the worse for this young lady. But again, it was a beautiful artwork, and I really loved this story, even though it was predictable, right? I saw it coming from a mile away, but it was just overall a well done little short story here. And then the second story has to do with, that's called The Little House on the Left. And it was about a writer who is jealous of his wife who had scripts and she was writing and getting all success and he wasn't getting any success. So he thought moving to this side house or whatever it was going to help him. But there's this little shed that's out into the side and there's some deep, dark, creepy secret there at that little shed. And it doesn't fare too well for him. This book was worthy if you are a horror fan and if you're an anthology fan. If this book did not have Jeremy Adams on that first story, I probably would not have picked up this book because I'm not a big fan of anthology comic books, hinting to what's to come in the future here when we talk about future comics. But there was just enough room for the stories to breathe, to have a good beginning, middle, and end, and it was fine for what it was. Do I keep reading Creepshow going forward? Probably not. Maybe it depends on the writer. We'll see where it goes, but I do like horror books. I'm going to give this one a C+. Good story, okay story. Good artwork or really good artwork, okay artwork. I don't know. It's one of those things, so you can take it or leave it. Valiant Beyond Exo Man of War. This is issue 1. 32 pages, $5. Written by Steve Orlando, and the art is done by Guillermo Ferraro. When it comes to this book, I read the original series by Robert Venditti from Exo Man of War. So I really like that series. I've tried out other Exo Man of War iterations from the past, and they haven't really hit for me. When it comes to the artwork in this book, I thought it was all right. I thought it was fine. There was good action scenes in this book. Interesting world that we are in, right? Kind of feels like a Mad Max type of vibe. Cool 2-page spread. However, when I read an Exo book, I kind of want to see the armor, and you don't really see that in this issue. And it's a lot of like explanation of like these people that live on this world that were trying to hurt these other people, and Exo Man of War was trying to save them, and they're trying to get to a specific place, and you got this one character, this guy here, Dr. Demolition, or whatever he is. I don't know, man. This book was just not worthy for me. I wasn't interested. It didn't get me into the main character, right? So it didn't get me into him, which is Eric, and it didn't get me into the supporting cast, which is, who are they, right? Never got to see the armor. I got to see him fight without the armor. I don't know, man. I just couldn't get into it. It's just one of those things where I feel like in a book like Exo Man of War, to grab people's attention, you gotta get people really introduced to that character. You gotta get people introduced to the good action that's at stake. I didn't feel the Mad Max vibe here. It just, I don't know. It's a little bit all over the place and a little bit confusing to me. So, yeah. This is going to be a pass. I gave this one a D, unfortunately. Wish I could have read more Exo Man of War, but I didn't have high hopes for this one myself, though. No Man's Land, issue 1. This is a 32-page comic for the price of $4, written and drawn by Simon Krasinski. I've read quite a few things from this writer/artist before. He's had other things like Something Epic, which was pretty interesting. I really love Blood Commandment. That was a good series. And so now we have No Man's Land. So I wasn't too into this book when it was announced, because it's kind of like not my thing, right? And I would say even after reading it, it's still not really my thing, but you can tell that there is a good story here. This takes place during the Cold War in the 1960s. You get this poor old FBI agent or Secret Service agent, and he's got to go out on this mission, and this poor guy was ready to retire, to turn in his application of retirement, and the next thing you wind up seeing just as he's about to do this is he's got to go out on this secret mission. And it's just like, oh my God, this poor freaking guy. The guy probably looks like he's about 60 years old. The artwork is really detailed. It's gorgeous. I loved looking at it. And that's what you can expect here from a series like this. And the book really does take its time of you getting to know our main character. I think his name is Kevin. And the mission that's at hand, so you can tell what he's going to be going through. This is no easy mission. There's this like dead woman in between like Russia and the US, and he can't cross over, or he's going to wind up getting captured by the Soviet Union. So there's a lot at stake here, and this guy has done a bang up job as an agent. He hasn't even fired a bullet. He's managed to escape death and all kinds of things, and he sacrificed his entire life, and based off of what happens in this comics, he could possibly get divorced in here. His wife doesn't want to do anything with him anymore, and it's crazy, man. You can't help feel for this poor guy. Now, will he be successful? You'll have to read it to find out. So I thought that this book was worthy. Again, this is something that is not up my wheelhouse, right? But it got me into the character. I feel like I want to know if this guy survives or not. So I'm going to have to read the second issue. At the end of the day, this was a solid B for me. Looking forward to the next one. Flow, issue 1. Mad Cave Studios is the one that publishes this one. 32 pages, $5. This one's written by Paula Sevenbergen. Claudia Balbuni does the artwork in this issue, and the artwork is fine for what it is, right? It's very simplistic art. There's not a lot of action in a story like this, as it has a lot of talking going on, and really this book caught my interest here because some would say it sounds like a Carrie ripoff, right? And it's about a young girl who goes off to summer camp, and what happens is she has her menstrual cycle for the first time, right? And so what happens is her friends call it the curse, and they have to, what they do is they give her these fake remedies to lift the curse, right? Because she's so naive to what's going on in her body, right? So she goes through all these things that are happening, and bad things are happening to this girl because her supposed friends are teasing her, right? And in this book, you also wind up getting to see the present time of what's happening to her so-called friends, because maybe a bad situation happened to our main character. So very interesting. It wasn't executed the best, but it still was pretty good. So I'm going to say that this book was worthy. It was good enough to pick up an issue 2 to see how this story actually continues and what happens to this young girl when she was a little kid, right? That led to this curse of her supposed friends in the future. So that's why it has me intrigued. Again, it wasn't like the most original story ever. It wasn't groundbreaking, but there was enough here to keep it going. And I gave this one a C+. We'll see where it goes from here. Voyager, issue 1, published by Ignition Press. They did that book last week, Murder Podcast, and that one was a good book. This one is 24 pages for the price of $5. This one is written by Leah Williams, and the art is done by David Baldian. The artwork is actually really good in this book. I think the characters look really nice. The woman in this book is absolutely drop dead gorgeous in here, and there's not a lot of dialogue in the beginning of this book since the name, right? Obviously, the story is told with the pictures in here, but the characters all look really good. And what this story is about, it's about this guy who's the head of security at this resort, and he has a job that he must do, and he can't get distracted. But being that he's always in front of this security footage, he has his eye on this hot-looking girl, and he's constantly following her, trying to figure out who she is and whatnot. And as you read the book, right, you find out that she is into him. She knows that he is looking at her, and you can see that picture right there. And then it's kind of like, oh shit. You're like, what happens when this chick finds out? But when you find out what the occupation of this guy actually is and why he's in the situation that he's in, the girl wants a part of it. And it's really good. I actually thought that this book was worthy. I am so curious to see where this is going to go, how this relationship actually develops between these two characters. Again, the guy is not just head of security. He's something much more than that. He had a plan in place to get to the head of security because he needed to steal something. Like I said, you got to read it. I actually like this. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. I gave it a B+, man. Let me know in the comments below, did you guys read this one? Marvel Zombies Red Band, this is issue 1. Now, we've seen plenty of Marvel Zombies in the past, but what makes this one different is it's red band, so it's got a little bit more gore in this one, right? 32 pages, $5. This one's written by Ethan S. Parker, Griffin Sheridan, and the art is done by Jan Bazadula. When it comes to the artwork, this is where I feel the book could have been a lot better. You want a book that has the title Red Band, you want the most descriptive and gory and disgusting artwork imaginable, right? It's a zombie book, and it doesn't hit that here. Like, this is an okay page, right? But it's not the greatest. And take, for instance, Punisher from last week, right? Look at the artwork and the gore in that, and you don't quite get that here. Like, look at the way the Hulk looks in this one. It just misses the mark for me. And if you want that horrific book, if you want that disgustingness, then you need to deliver on all levels, and it just kind of missed the mark. Okay? Now, what this story was about was the Fantastic Four back in the Silver Age of these comic books. When these characters came along, that's when the story takes place. They go up into their mission, and not only do they come back with powers, but they come back being bloodthirsty zombie eaters, and they're trying to go after everybody. But somehow, some way, they still have their smarts amongst them. They can still talk and they can still think. The only thing that they lust for is constant hunger. At the same time, you still see Spider-Man in this series becoming Spider-Man. So you don't get to see no death of Uncle Ben and Aunt May or anything like that. And, you know, listen, it was okay, but it wasn't anything fantastic. And I think I am actually going to pass. I think this is not worthy. I think this could have been a much stronger book. Is it fun? Yeah, I guess so, right? But it wasn't great. I thought the art could have been better. I just thought that the Fantastic Four being smart zombies was weird. It could have been better. I don't know. Maybe you guys see something that I don't in this one. I gave this one a D-. It lacked in a lot of levels for me. The book of the week, right? This is all the talk. Everyone's been expecting this book for the longest time. Marvel DC Deadpool Batman issue 1, right? When we first got announced that DC and Marvel were doing a crossover, everyone was like, oh yeah, you know? And then as you got more and more word of this, my level of excitement started to drop because my fear was, oh, this is going to be a bunch of short stories and it's not really going to amount to anything except for Marvel and DC crossing over, right? And it's not like we haven't had a Marvel and DC crossover before. You know, we've had that Justice League and Avengers, you had the old books back in the day, and those are all fine and good. So for newer readers, right, younger readers, this is your first time that DC and Marvel have crossed over with each other, right? So this is an exciting time. And this is 64 pages for the price of $7. Now, when it comes to this book, you got a lot of writers in here. You got Frank Miller and you got Al Ewing, Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson, Kevin Smith, Ryan North, Zeb Wells, right? The main story in this book here has to do with Deadpool and Batman coming together for the first time. We've never seen that in the pages of DC and Marvel. So to have them interact was kind of interesting. I can see where you're coming from. You get the smartest detective, right, against the dumbest character who's quirky and tries to be funny and can be super annoying, right? So you kind of want to see those interactions in there. You get that Capullo artwork, which did deliver in here, and there was this mission that had to deal with the Joker, right? Listen, when it comes to this book or this issue or this story, it wasn't anything here that was monumental or mind-blowing to the point where it was like, oh my God, this is great. This is awesome to see Deadpool and Batman together again. The story was super plain Jane. It's like, oh look, the Joker is out. He's causing chemical warfare in Gotham. Like, how many times have we seen that storyline? It's just this time we have Deadpool involved in it. And if you're not a Deadpool fan, like me, when it comes to the comic books, this is going to be a super annoying story because all Deadpool does is chat and tell his stupid jokes, and it's just very frustrating, right? It just bothers me. So right there, I didn't like the story because of its unoriginality and just Deadpool being in the book. I felt like we could have put any other freaking character in this main story to interact with Batman. We could have done Spider-Man. We could have done Wolverine. We could have done Kraven the Hunter hunting Batman. Like, we could have done all kinds of different things. But instead, we put Deadpool, who has been beat to death for the past, 2 years in every single Marvel story that there actually is, right? And we just get Joker in the Batman Hush story as well. So that in itself just didn't do it for me. I was just kind of like, whatever. Then you get this interaction between Wonder Woman and Captain America in here, how they're changing the past to where the future is changed. Listen, when it came to the artwork in here by Terry Dodson, I thought it was absolutely beautiful. However, when it comes to anthology stories, and you put so many stories in here, stories don't have room to breathe. So you're forced to come to that beginning, middle, and end super fast, right? And so just as the story gets going, the story abruptly ends, okay? So take that story for what it is. Here is a story that I feel should not be in this book. This is the Crypto and Jeff the Landshark. I get it. Crypto is all the talk when it comes to the Superman. People love him. Jeff the Landshark has been all over the place because of Marvel Rivals. But they don't need to be in this story. So for me, this is just taking up pages because there's no dialogue in it. There's nothing here. It takes up 6 excuse me, 7-8 pages of dialogue. Another potential decent story that doesn't have room to breathe in here is the Daredevil and Green Arrow story, right? You get to see them interact with the Hand. They're fighting with each other. There's really good artwork in here. How many of you would love to see this book go for like 30 pages of Daredevil and Green Arrow fighting alongside each other, right? But then all of a sudden, Count Vertigo comes in, and you know what? That story's going to end. You get a Green Lantern story, right? With Rocket Raccoon. Seems like it's a little fun, but you know what? That's 2 pages. Has no room to breathe. Super freaking frustrating. What the hell is the Frank Miller story with Wolverine and Batman? What is that garbage? I'm like, come on, dude. Is this a joke? Seriously. And then you got like logo at the end of this? What is that? Like, come on. This book is not worthy. This could be an unpopular opinion. A lot of you guys, if you like it, I will never discredit that. That is absolutely awesome. And like I said, for younger readers out there, this could be a lot of fun for you, right? To see these different Marvel and DC characters interact with each other. That's kind of cool. But they missed the mark. This book gets an F. You could have done so many other things. This is not an anniversary issue. This should be a celebration of comic books. You could make this into a 6-issue series. Instead of had DC KO, you could have had DC Marvel KO, where you get to see your favorite heroes from both universes go into a tournament and verse each other. How freaking cool would that be? Or you could have a Deadpool or maybe a Batman and another character have a singular issue. Just something different than what this is. This is no more than like Batman 700, where you have like all these different short stories. I hate that. It's just you spend all that money and oh my gosh, it's just pissed me off. I don't know why I'm so angry about it, but this is just not what I was expecting or what I really wanted. And this was what I feared. So yes, I went on 7 minutes on this one comic book. I apologize, but I really need to hear your guys' thoughts on what you thought of this book overall. But again, this one gets an F for me. It doesn't deliver, man. It just doesn't deliver. Good artwork in some places, but not what I was hoping for. And there you guys have it. My thoughts and opinions. I'm sorry I ended this one so negatively with the Deadpool Batman comic book there. But yeah, that's what makes this hobby so awesome. Everyone has great opinions and it creates conversation. Just my personal opinion here. So guys, leave me all those thoughts down below. I'll leave you more content right here for you to click on. In fact, this is my haul for the week. I'll show you everything that I pick up in that video. Support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting. But always remember, read those comics so we can have great comic conversation, even if it's a rant. Guys, I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye.